So fresh, so fresh, so fresh. What's up, friends? Welcome back to my channel. I hope you all are doing well. I'm super excited for today's video because we have some new products from Chanel. I'm going to be doing a full review and wear test of the newest additions to their Water Fresh line, both the Water Fresh Complexion Touch, comparing it up against the OG Water Fresh Tint, and then also going over the new Water Fresh blushes. So if you guys are interested in all of my completely honest thoughts on these new Chanel products, then keep watching. And if this is your first time here, maybe you found me browsing YouTube or via a Google search, welcome, welcome. My name is Sophia and this is my channel where we talk about all things beauty and luxury. I upload content every single week on all the newest luxury beauty releases. So if you want to join the fam because we have so much fun over here, then hit that subscribe button and hit the notification bell to hear about every time I upload a new video. If you guys like this video and enjoy Chanel reviews, don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up. I will be linking everything that I mentioned in this video in the description box down below so you guys can shop. Depending on the product and the availability, I do sometimes use affiliate links, so shopping through those links is a really great way to support my channel, or just being here watching, giving a thumbs up, commenting. That is also a really great way to show your support. Okay, friends, let's get into these new products from Chanel. I'm really excited to do this review for you guys because I love not only reviewing new products, but also doing comparisons, which I'm going to do today with the Water Fresh Complexion Touch up against the OG Water Fresh Tint. So we're gonna go into all of the details. First up, I bought all of these products on the Chanel website using my own money. Unfortunately, my wallet is sad. These are very expensive products, guys, but it is Chanel. We know we're dealing with luxury. We're dealing with high prices. I'm gonna be giving you guys all of the deets. To my knowledge, you can buy these on the US website, the Canadian website. I'm fairly certain they're also available in the UK. I try my best to update you guys whenever these products become available. Definitely follow me on Instagram. I will put my handle up here if you guys want live updates on when new products become available, when they're back in stock, just things that I'm buying, things that I'm reviewing. If you want to request any reviews, following me on Instagram is a really great way to keep up with all of that stuff. So I will keep you updated in terms of the availability of these products. Also, if you guys like Chanel and Chanel reviews, I did do a recent video of all of my Chanel favorites and fails, kind of just giving mini reviews on every single product I own from the brand. I will link that down below if you want to check it out. One of the products that I featured in that review video was this. This is the Chanel Water Fresh Tint. This is definitely one of my favorite products from Chanel. I think a lot of us will agree that Chanel does complexion products very well. Their foundations are super luxurious. I have not gotten a chance to try all of them, but this is definitely up there for me in terms of my favorites from the brand. This product, the Chanel Water Fresh Tint, this was released maybe like 2 years ago, and the reason that we're talking about it in this video is that it's almost like the precursor to this new product, which is called the Water Fresh Complexion Touch. So I'm gonna just first cover a little bit about this product so that it kind of helps us with the comparison. The Water Fresh Tint retails for $65. It comes in 8 shades and you get 30 milliliters. By the way, all the products that I'm gonna be mentioning in this video are made in France. And on the Chanel website, this product is described as a light to medium coverage foundation with a gel texture and pigmented micro droplets that create a radiant, healthy looking glow. When this first launched, this was kind of like the OG product of its kind. It's not even a foundation, if I'm gonna be honest with you. I think it's almost like a serum, almost like skincare with a little bit of tint. I'll show you guys a close-up of what this looks like on my hand. When you squirt it out onto your hand, you will notice it's 70% water, if I'm not mistaken. And then within that gel serum, you guys are gonna see these little droplets, globules, as I like to call them sometimes. And when you sort of break those little globs, the pigment bursts out and deposits all over your hand. And so what you're basically left with is something that is super refreshing to the touch, very hydrating, very revitalizing, very fresh looking, and just adds a hint of coverage. It's almost like an in-between between your skincare serums and maybe like a really light skin tint or a tinted moisturizer, if that makes sense. I would not say that this is light to medium coverage. I think that it is very much light to nothing coverage, but personally, I really like it. I like it for those sort of no makeup kind of days. If you want something that almost looks like yourself, just a little bit better, then this is a great product for you. It's very hydrating. It's really good for mature skin, or if you are like me, I have very dry skin. This is such a great product for those kind of effortless, very light makeup kind of days. Now that we have that out of the way, let's talk about this new product. This is the Chanel Water Fresh Complexion Touch. This also retails for $65, except this time we have 16 shades. By the way, I have the shade B10. This is the same shade that I wear in the other Chanel foundations. I know in my previous Chanel video, I recommended that if you want something that kind of warms up the skin with the Water Fresh tint, to maybe go one shade darker. That's what I did with this because it is so sheer. I do want to mention mention just from the start that with the Complexion touch, I do recommend going with your original shade that you wear in the Chanel foundations because this is meant to be a little bit more full coverage. More on that in a second. So like I said, you have 16 shades in this one, and the reason for that is because you're getting more coverage. So this one, the Water Fresh Tint, is supposed to be 70% water, whereas this one, the Complexion Touch, has 60% water. You guys are gonna see right off the bat, the packaging is very different as well. With this one, you are getting 30 milliliters, and then with this one, you are getting 20 milliliters. I do like the fact that this packaging is a little bit more compact. This is beautiful, but it is a little bit bulky. So right off the bat, you're getting less product, and also what you're getting is 3 times more coverage. So you have less water in here, more coverage, and that's why they have more shades, because this is supposed to be more like a medium coverage kind of foundation. As I mentioned, the Water Fresh Tint, it's very light. So those are the biggest differences right off the bat. If you're somebody who's looking for more coverage, I would definitely steer you more towards in the direction of this new product. Now, the technology and the ingredients and the concept are exactly the same. You have kind of like that serum base. You have those little globules of pigment. You just have more of them. They're going to be more pigmented, more coverage. It's promising you that fresh looking feel, something that looks very revitalizing, anti-pollution, plumping the skin, hydrating the skin. So all of that remains the same. It's really more so the coverage and the amount of product that you're getting. Looking at the description on the Chanel website, it also seems like they're sort of marketing this almost as like it could be a concealer as well, if you wanted to conceal maybe just specific spots on your face. So I am going to show you guys in the demo just how much this covers up, what it looks like as a concealer, what it looks like all over my face. I do have rosacea and a little bit of redness, so you guys are going to see that in just a moment. Before we get to the demo, I do want to show you guys a couple of close-ups here just so you can appreciate the difference between these two products. The first close-up that I want to show you all is a comparison of both of these products just squirted onto my hand. This is what they look like when they come out of the bottles. You guys are going to see right off the bat the Complexion Touch, obviously it has more pigment, it has more of those like globules of pigment running through the serum. So that right off the bat is extremely evident when you squirt it onto your hand. The second close-up that I want to show you guys is just a comparison of the two that are blended out on the hand. Instantly, you can see the Water Fresh Tint. It's juicier, it's shinier, it's more hydrating. It looks like you're putting a serum on your skin. I also noticed that when I was doing this, I had to work just a little bit more to kind of break up the pigment globs in the Complexion Touch. It just has more of them, and I think that's why you have to work a little bit harder to break them up. Whereas with the Water Fresh Tint, because you have so much of that serum, all of that water kind of helps to sort of mix up the pigment a little bit. And lastly, I want to show you guys what this looks like once it's sort of spread onto my hand. I have shots here of what they look like before they dry down and also after they dry down. You will instantaneously notice the medium coverage that the Complexion Touch gives. That is the shot that is on the left. It's very evident. Honestly, I was pretty surprised at how much coverage it gave. And I'm going to show you guys in just a second what this looks like when I do the same on my face. Okay, friends, let's hop into this demo with the Complexion Touch. As I mentioned before, one of the first things I noticed is that it does take a little bit of extra power to break up the globs on my hand. It's not hard, it's not really a hassle. Could you squirt this into your hands and rub it onto your face like moisturizer? Yes, you probably could, but it might be a little bit messy, it might be a little bit patchy, and you also have the potential of perhaps wasting some of the product because you're not really putting it into the spots that really need the pigment. First, I want to show you what this looks like when I just kind of brush this onto my skin with my hand. You're gonna get the best idea of the texture and how this blends onto the skin when I show you this close-up. It does indeed cover up my redness. I was pretty surprised when I put this on my face. Maybe it's just because, you know, I've been using the Water Fresh Tint for so long. I was thinking even 3 times the coverage wouldn't be that much coverage, but you guys are gonna see, like, this covers up my redness pretty well. It looks like what I would think of to be a traditional skin tint, something that's light to medium coverage. Then I went in, as I normally like to, with a brush. Personally, I prefer kind of like a dense flat top brush. I will link one similar to the ones that I'm using in this video in the description box down below. I really like the ones from It Cosmetics because I feel like they don't really eat up the product. Remember, these are very watery, so if you're using kind of like a looser brush, the pigment is going to sort of get into the brush and not as much onto your face. So I feel like using that thick flat top brush is kind of the best situation. I also tried using my smaller Sephora foundation brush. I really like to use this to kind of paint on color. I like using this with the Water Fresh Tint, with other products like the Chantecaille Future Skin Foundation, kind of like really dewy formulas. I like to use that kind of brush. However, I feel like with the Complexion Touch, it does kind of allow for there to be a little bit more streakiness. So I do recommend kind of like a flat top brush or even maybe a sponge. It will eat up some of the product, but you're gonna get kind of like a smoother application. I also want to call out that this product does come with its own brush. When you buy it, it comes with this cute little Chanel brush. It has like a pointy little tip. Personally, I would be way too impatient to use this teeny little brush to apply the product to my entire face. I just feel like it's not really conducive to that. This is the kind of product that is very prone to being streaky streaky if you're using something that is smaller. I think it's better to kind of stamp it onto the face. But what I do like to use this tiny little brush for is for concealing. I think it's great around the eyes. It fits into kind of like all those little nooks and crannies on your face, sort of right here in the tear duct region, on the eyelids, around the nose, around the mouth. It is a really nice little brush. I do see myself using it, but I don't see myself using it to apply this product to my entire face. Okay, friends, now I'm gonna show you guys what this looks like when I have half of my face with the Complexion Touch on the left and then half of my face with nothing at all, just my skincare. Wow, this actually has a lot more coverage than I thought it was going to have. It really does have a medium coverage. I would probably call it light to medium. You can build it up a little bit. Once again, I think if you go in with a flat top brush, that's gonna give you the most coverage and fewer streaks as well. As far as it being used as a concealer, I absolutely think you can. For me, I have very hereditary dark circles, so just for my makeup preferences, I like a very illuminated under eye, so I did go in after with the Say concealer because I just wanted a little bit more coverage. I thought it looked good though. I thought it looked good. I do think you can use this as a concealer, but if you're like me, you have really dark circles and you want to look really fresh and flirty and awake, then you might want to use just a little bit of concealer. I also do want to mention, just because this is less product, I did notice that I have to use less product. I think I used maybe like 3 pumps, maybe 4 pumps all over my face, whereas with the Water Fresh tint, I do feel like I have to use a couple more pumps, but I just want to put that out there. You are getting less product in this new one, but at least you use less product. Next up for this demonstration, I applied the Water Fresh tint to the other half of my face. You guys will see, obviously it's much less coverage, but I just want to demonstrate what the difference is between these products. On my face, you can see just how much more redness and hyperpigmentation and everything else the Complexion Touch covers in comparison to the Water Fresh tint. The Water Fresh tint, it ends up being a lot dewier, a lot more natural and skincare, whereas I feel like the Complexion Touch, it kind of just looked like other skin tints that I have in my collection. With the Water Fresh tint, as I mentioned, I like to use that kind of small little foundation brush to sort of paint it onto my face. I don't have issues with streaking simply because there's just less pigment in this product. And here's the final look with the Complexion Touch on the left and then the Water Fresh tint on the right, so you guys can see the final difference. Then I kind of evened everything out. I put the Complexion Touch on the other half of my face. I did the rest of my makeup, and this is what the final look looks like. So you guys can see a very nice close-up of what this looks like. I think it looks beautiful. I think it's just the right amount of coverage for me. It definitely is to my makeup preference. I like hydrating foundations. I like things that are a little bit more on the lightweight side. Even if I can see a little bit of my skin showing through, I'm kind of okay with that. But I thought that the end result was really beautiful, very Chanel, very sophisticated. It didn't look too shiny, but it also didn't look too makeup-y. In this particular look, I used the Dior Couture powder bronzer. I will link that down below. I wanted to see how powder products would layer on top of this, just because it is more of like a dewy formula. You know, sometimes when you go in with a moisturizing or really dewy foundation, it's kind of hard or like patchy to layer on powder products over top, but I didn't have any issues at all. Today, I'm actually wearing the Complexion Touch and I went in with the Chanel cream bronzer. I feel like that also layered on fairly well, although I think with the Chanel cream bronzer, because it is pretty emollient, it's a little bit more of like an oily formula. It does kind of disturb the foundation just a little bit, so I want to call that out, but I think it's more of a side effect of the Chanel bronzer, not necessarily this foundation. So I think that products layer over top of this pretty well, but I do just want to call that out. Now I am going to be talking about a wear test in just a second, but before we do that, we need to talk about the Water Fresh blushes. Sorry if the lighting looks a little bit weird right now. I had to kind of adjust my blinds because the sun is coming in so strong, but we are not finished yet. We're going to be talking about these new Chanel Water Fresh blushes. These retail for a whopping $50. They come in 6 shades. You are getting 15 milliliters of product, which is kind of a lot for a blush. It is half of what you get for the Water Fresh tint. As you can see, these bottles are smaller, but the design is the same, and also it's the same technology. It's the same kind of formulation, except with these, we are getting beautiful pigmented blushes instead of a face tint. Now, apparently apparently these have been around in Asia for a while. I think that these launched last year, so we have seen a couple of swatches. I have these shades Deep Apricot and Intense Coral, so those are the ones that you guys are gonna see today in the demo and the comparison. Luckily, we now have these available in the US and a couple other countries, just like the Complexion Touch. So let's get into a quick demo with these. Now, even though these have a very similar formula to the Water Fresh Tint, I did notice that just like the Complexion Touch, you do have to kind of work this product on the back of your hand just a little bit before you apply it to your face. I do not recommend going in with this formula directly on your face. Who knows where all of those little pigment globules are going to burst. You want a little bit more control with this, and for that reason, I recommend you really work it onto the back of your hand. You'll see in this demo that I go in with the Sonia G Fusion brush. I thought that this worked pretty well, but similar to my opinions on the Complexion Touch, I do prefer something that is more of like a denser flat top brush, or even a sponge. I think a sponge works really great for these blushes because you get a little bit more of like a sheer application, especially if you want it to look really natural. I think even maybe finishing it up with the sponge is a really great way to go and to kind of blend it into the rest of the face. Now, the first shade that you see me going in with here is called Intense Coral. This is obviously a coral. It's intense. I am more drawn to kind of like the darker, more pigmented, more vibrant shades. If you guys are new here, that's kind of what I go for. I like corals, I like peaches, I like browns and terracottas. That's kind of my vibe, especially for summer. So I really like this coral shade. It is called Intense Coral, and I must say it's a lot more intense than I was thinking it was going to be. I thought that maybe these were going to be like really watery, sheer wash of color, not have a lot of pigment, and maybe that's just because, I don't know, Chanel does cater to the customer that likes a very soft, sophisticated kind of look. So I definitely was a little bit skeptical, but I'll show you guys here a clip of what the pigment looked like left over on my hand. It's pretty pigmented, and you'll see as I'm rubbing it, it actually is fairly budge proof. Like, this was really promising to me. I just couldn't believe how even just half a pump, even just a teeny little bit, you really just need a tiny little bit, leaves such a beautiful dose of pigment. I feel like it's really easy to blend onto the cheeks. And then similar to the other products in this line, it leaves kind of like that really nice dewy hydrated type of effect, but it's not sticky. Like all of these products, I feel like they kind of dry down to an extent. It's not like other cream blushes where maybe you have that kind of tack to your face or it doesn't really dry down. I think that is something that is really unique to this line. Then on the next cheek, I went in with the shade Deep Apricot. I think out of the two, I prefer this one slightly better just because this is my color. It is just a beautiful, warm, like toasted kind of orange. If you're somebody that likes orangey blushes, I think you're really gonna like this. In fact, after using this, I kind of want the darkest shade, which is more of like a bronze color. I think it's called Deep Bronze. I think that might be good if you are fair like me and you're looking for something that is almost like a bronzer version of this formula. I will now show you guys a side-by-side of what each of these look like compared on my cheeks. On the left, we have Intense Coral, and on the right, we have Deep Apricot. Once again, I like that these are pigmented enough that you can actually tell the difference. I was kind of afraid that these blushes were going to be just like 6 shades of light pink. I like that these give a good dose of color. I like that I can tell the difference between them, and I love that I only have to use a tiny little bit of product. Now, after doing this demo, I did kind of like even out my cheeks so that they weren't mismatched because I did do a wear test. I want to show you guys a quick clip of what my makeup looked like after I put on the Complexion Touch and I kind of mixed together those blushes. I think it looks really pretty. I think it looks gorgeous. Once again, I was wearing the Dior powder bronzer, so I had a little bit of a bronze, but it was very slight because I didn't really want any super bronzy products like competing with the blushes, etc. So I think it looked really beautiful. I thought that the finish was really nice and luminous, but once again, something unique about these products is that while they are very moisturizing, they have a dry down. They allow your natural oils to shine through, but they're not going to be like greasy, so to speak. Now, after I applied these, I did go about my day. It was a weekend, so I went out, got lunch, went around in the sunshine, walked around, etc. Sweated a little bit, had my sunglasses on and off, etc. And this is what the products look like after a couple of hours of doing that on a weekend day. I feel like these wore pretty well. What you guys are going to see is that you do see the product kind of, I don't want to use the word caking up, but you can see it getting like a little bit uneven around my dry patches and around the parts of my face that typically move when I'm emoting. You do see that it's rubbed off where my sunglasses are. But that being said, what was nice about this is that I could kind of just like smooth all of that out with my finger. Like the products are creamy enough that you can just reset it. And honestly, maybe if you used a setting powder, you wouldn't get that much, but I don't like to use setting powders. If you're new here, I have very dry skin and setting powders just like aren't really for me. I rather just look glowy and juicy and dewy and kind of be able to fix that like with my finger. So I do just want to mention that I didn't feel like the products necessarily wore off my face, but I did feel like after a couple of hours in the sun, I had to kind of like fix my face a little bit. Lastly, I want to show you a clip of what my face looked like at the end of the day. I thought that these products were very long wearing, particularly the blushes. You can see I still have some blush to my face. Both of the colors are still there. The complexion touch is still there, which I thought was pretty impressive for such lightweight products. All right, friends, I hope that those demos, all those comparisons, the up close swatches and all of that was very, very helpful. Now it's time for my final thoughts. I'm going to let you guys know my completely honest thoughts of what I think of these products. I'm going to start off talking about the complexion touch. Okay, so here are my thoughts about this. I think overall, this is a really nice product. I think that there are some pros and cons to this. The pros to this are if you wanted something in this line, if you like kind of that formulation, you like the Chanel technology, you kind of like the vibe of the Water Fresh tint, but you want more coverage, then I think this is a really great product for you. I like that it's a little bit more multi-use. You can put it all over your face. You can use it as a rather light concealer. I was pretty impressed by the coverage that I get from this product. I think it gives a really nice refreshing look. The feel of it on my face is very refreshing, just like the Water Fresh tint. I like that there also are more shades. I think that it caters to more people. The things that you need to keep in mind about this are, number one, it's pretty expensive and you only get 20 milliliters. I think that if you were to use this every day, you would probably use it up pretty quickly. For me, I have a lot of foundations and I don't go through my foundations very quickly. I don't go through any makeup products very quickly because I have so much makeup. But if you're someone where like you have one foundation, two foundations, I'm curious how quickly you will go through this. It is $65. It's Chanel, it's luxury, but you're not really getting that much product. Typically with a foundation, you're getting a solid full fluid ounce, and with this, you're only getting the 20 milliliters. The second thing is that while this does have really nice coverage, because it has that kind of gel-like texture, you do need to work with it a little bit in the beginning to make sure that you don't have any streaks. When I first put it on, I went and looked in the mirror in daylight and I noticed it looking a little bit makeup-y, and that's why I kept recommending to you guys in this video that you use sort of like a denser, flatter type of brush or maybe a sponge. I think if you go over it with that, you get a nice, more blended look. In terms of longevity, this is a first impressions video. I've only worn this for 2 days, but I do think that it wears pretty well. That being said, I don't think it is like the longest wearing foundation in my collection. I do think that I have other sort of like hydrating tint, medium coverage types of foundations that wear just a little bit better. I thought that yesterday when I wore it with the powder bronzer, it wore a lot better. Whereas today, I do kind of notice it breaking up just a little bit right here around my dry patches, which is strange because this is supposed to be a hydrating foundation product. I don't know if that's from the Chanel bronzer because that bronzer typically doesn't have like the best longevity and it can kind of break up your foundation. But that being said, the other thing that I want to say about this is that I think that this is pretty similar to a lot of other skin tints that are on the market. I think that I can get a very similar effect with some of the other skin tints that are in my collection, such as the Fenty Eavesdrop Blurring Skin Tint. If I'm thinking about a luxury alternative slash holy grail that I would use instead of this, I tend to think of the Chantecaille Future Skin Foundation because that gives me that beautiful, glowy, glass skin kind of effect with a medium coverage. And I have to be honest with you guys, I think I prefer that foundation better than this one from Chanel. I still like this, but overall, I don't think that this is going to last me that long. I don't think it is like completely holy grail. If you're a fan of Chanel, I don't think that you're going to be unhappy with this. It is a lovely product, but I probably give it like a 7 or 8 out of 10 just because I think I can get a very similar effect with other things in my collection. You don't get that much product. It's pretty expensive. When I look at the new Complexion Touch and the Water Fresh tint and I think about which one I like more, obviously these are very different products. I think at this moment in time, it's difficult, guys. I think I like the OG Water Fresh tint just a little bit better. And one of the reasons for that is that because this is sheer, I can go a shade darker and it gives me a very natural, tan, glowy, my skin but better kind of look, whereas the Complexion Touch just kind of feels like another skin tint or like another light to medium coverage type of foundation. So at this time, I think I like this one more because it just gives me something different that I don't have in my collection and it makes me look a little bit more tan. I like to use this in conjunction with a concealer and it looks absolutely beautiful. So those are my thoughts on that. At the moment, I'm enjoying this one just a little bit better. Maybe when summer ends, I will change my mind and I will like this one a little bit better. Still really like this. I will keep you guys updated on my thoughts on the Complexion Touch. Now for the blushes. These are so beautiful. I think I like these better than the Complexion Touch. Like if I had to recommend you buying one thing from this video, I would say pick up one of the blushes. Pick up one of the blushes and see if you like the formula, see if you like the shade. These are not like easy, effortless products. And the reason being is that they're liquid blushes. You have to put it on the back of your hand. You have to break up the little globules. You got to get out your brush. You got to buff it out. But it does blend really beautifully on the skin. They set down really nicely. So if you're not really into cream products, if you don't mind that sort of process of applying the blush, then I think you're really going to like this because they set down really well. As you guys saw from the wear test, they have amazing longevity. I also, as I mentioned, love how intensely pigmented these are. I was afraid that these were going to be, I don't want to use the word dusty because it's more for like powder products. I was afraid that these were just going to be so sheer that you couldn't even tell the difference between the colors. I love these colors that I chose. I would 100% get the bronze color, which is the deepest shade. It's already in my cart. I'm already contemplating it. The downside here is that these are $50. But that being said, these are a better value than the other complexion products I'm talking about in this video because you only need a teeny tiny bit. So it's like, I almost feel like this is a lifetime of Chanel Water Fresh blush. These are gonna last you a very long time. So those are my thoughts on all these new products from Chanel. Comment down below and let me know what you think. I know a lot of you guys already picked up a lot of these products, so I'd love to hear from those of you with different skin types, different skin tones, people who picked up the other colors of the blush, etc. Comment down below. I must know. Help us all out. We need to know what you think so we can help each other out, picking out shades and figuring out what products are right for us. And if you have not already, don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up. These videos take me a lot of time just doing kind of like the comparisons and the demos. I love making these for you guys. If you are still watching and you are not subscribed to my channel, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button and click the notification bell to hear about every time I post a new video. I'm definitely going to be covering more Chanel on my channel, but I also cover a lot of Sephora brands. I cover Dior, Guerlain, Tom Ford, Chantecaille, all of those brands. So if you are into that and that is up your alley, then I definitely recommend you joining our community. I hope that you guys are having a fantastic day and I will see you in my next one. Goodbye.